Oh, this? No, I'm not crazy. This isn't crazy. It all makes sense. Everything here is connected. We got sword, beads, bunnies, New Jersey. Alright, it's a prop. I do props now. This is a prop for the video. And it was part of the video even before Jimmy Woo pretty much did this in episode 4. But I promise you this. There is something on this board that I legitimately think ties everything in Wandavision together. So first, let's talk about some of the symbols, things that are present in the first 4 episodes of Wandavision. It's gonna be a gas. I am absolutely loving Wandavision. My favorite new show of 2021. I know it's early, but everything about Wandavision works for me. The performances, the humor, the production design, and of course, the mystery. What is going on in Westview? Why are so many strange things happening? Radios speaking to Wanda, mysterious colors appearing, companies that produce nothing. Okay, that's actually not unusual, but clearly something is amiss. Now, I don't want to spoil the show. And I don't think I really can, considering I have not seen more than 3 episodes as of this recording, so I'm on the same page as you. And honestly, yeah, WandaVision borrows some aesthetics and plot points from Marvel Comics, but it feels largely disconnected from them. This isn't a Bucky as the Winter Soldier situation where comic fans knew the surprise all along because they read the books. It is not clear what's happening here. Why Wanda does not seem to remember life before Westview. How Vision is alive. But something is clear. Someone is manipulating Wanda. Gaslighting her, if you will. Undermining her reality, in a pretty literal sense. I had a feeling something like that was happening before a voice called to Wanda over a radio asking, "Who is doing this to you?" And that sealed the deal. Okay, so potential spoilers. Kind of. So let's assume some character is messing with Wanda. Who could it be? Well, I think it's pretty safe to say that it is the non-Wanda or Vision character who acts differently from the rest, usually by blending in perfectly. Agnes, the nosy neighbor played by Kathryn Hahn in what will probably go down as my favorite performance of the year, fits that bill perfectly. And let's take all of the other Marvel knowledge out of the picture for now. She is very likely a comic character with particular significance to Wanda, but honestly it doesn't really matter. For the purposes of this video, let's assume she's brandy new. But she does behave strangely. Agnes is the only character who has not broken character, hasn't questioned her reality or Wanda and Vision's abilities. In fact, in the group scenes, she seems to act differently. Either claps bigger or maybe doesn't say the thing in unison with everything else. Something's up with Agnes. So here's the fun part. If it seems like Agnes is up to something, can we examine her actions to figure out what she wants? I think so. And I'm not just talking about big things. Almost every line or reference through the first 2 episodes can be related to one goal: getting Wanda and Vision to have kids. And when you start thinking about it, it's legitimately everywhere. And that's the fun of it. So let's start with the first episode. Agnes introduces herself and then immediately goes into her spiel about how Wanda and Vision should have a romantic night. She brings over a magazine with tips for how to woo your man. And this doesn't necessarily come out of nowhere, but everything from here on out about the romantic evening does seem to come from Agnes. But then the boss and his wife are actually coming over for dinner. Whoops. So what does Wanda do? She calls Agnes, who brings over a humongous set of main courses, complicated ones. Also, on her way in, she manages to drop a pot, which nearly gives the game away in the kitchen. And she does it pretty quickly. You can read it as either normal sitcom quirkiness or intentional dinner party sabotage. After all, the sooner the boss and the wife leave, the sooner Vision and Wanda can get to the baby making. And then Agnes interrupts the dinner party again, this time by showing up to the front door with a pineapple. And that's Agnes's contribution to episode 1. Episode 2. This one doesn't have nearly as much Agnes, but she features mainly in 2 scenes. First, Agnes meets Wanda in Wanda's front yard, distracting Wanda from the strange toy helicopter Wanda just discovered. Then, Agnes hands Wanda a rabbit, and Agnes escorts Wanda to the community planning meeting led by Dot. Here we get a mention of Dot being helpful in getting, quote, children into good schools, And aside for some day drinking, that's kind of it for Agnes. So, simple enough. But let's dig deeper. Let's read way too far into WandaVision. First, some small stuff. Let's start with the things that Agnes gives Wanda, which are all either related to children or fertility. Mid-dinner, Agnes returns to the Vision House with a pineapple. Agnes claims she forgot to give it to Wanda for the pineapple upside-down cake. According to this article from The Independent, pineapples have recently become a symbol for infertility. Quote, pineapples have long been a topic of hopeful discussion in fertility circles. Parents tell each other that eating pineapple on an empty stomach the day of your embryo transfer can help you get pregnant. Pineapple contains a mix of enzymes called bromelain, which, according to National Institutes of Health, may debride scar tissue and decrease inflammation. But perhaps more importantly, quote, pineapples have become a powerful symbol for women struggling with infertility. The fruit appears in the profile photos and Facebook feeds of women in online fertility communities and dominates hashtags related to in vitro fertilization on Instagram. Agnes also gives Wanda 2 lobsters, which Wanda accidentally flings out the window, and at least one lands on the front door. There was a myth going around, largely due to the show Friends, that lobsters mate for life. In one episode, Phoebe called Rachel Ross's lobster, explaining that it's a known fact that lobsters mate for life. That is not a known fact, or an unknown fact, it is made up, but still, it's a thing people believe because of TV. Agnes also gives Wanda a chicken, which Wanda accidentally turns into a basket of eggs, the babies of chickens. Then in episode 2, Agnes loans Wanda her pet bunny, Senor Scratchy, for Wanda and Vision's magic act, and rabbits are very well known for being symbols of fertility. This one's from Time magazine. Quote, the exact origins of the Easter Bunny are clouded in mystery. One theory is that the symbol of the rabbit stems from pagan tradition, specifically the festival of Oster, a goddess of fertility whose animal symbol was a bunny. Rabbits, known for their energetic breeding, have traditionally symbolized fertility. And then this one from History, the Easter Bunny has become a prominent symbol of Christianity's most important holiday. The exact origins of the mythical mammal are unclear, but rabbits, known to be prolific procreators, are an ancient symbol of fertility and new life. And let's not forget, Senor Scratchy is introduced as being a star in last year's nativity play as Baby Jesus, the most famous non-Yoda baby. Other things that come up in the first 2 episodes, Vision sings the song Yakety Yak, a song about arguing with a child. He also sings Old MacDonald, a straight-up children's song. The helicopter Wanda finds in her yard is a toy. And then there are the bees. Let's talk about bees. Besides the obvious introduction of the beekeeper, there are quite a few subtle nods to bees in WandaVision. First, you have Agnes describing Dot as the queen, like the hierarchy associated with bees. Dot and friends are also covered in floral print. In fact, Dot's roses are said to bloom under penalty of death, according to Agnes, and bees love flowers. Then you have a moment where Agnes asks Wanda if she, quote, sets her own jellies, which, in a normal context, feels like an innocuous question about preparing lamb chops, but with the presence of a mysterious beekeeper, could be a reference to royal jelly, the substance secreted by bees which is used to feed queen bees and larvae, baby bees. Royal jelly is even considered by some to be a rejuvenant, although there is not a ton of science to back that up. Architectural Digest goes into a little detail there about bees and honey. The bee features prominently in the mythology of nearly every culture, including those of the Mayans, Hindus, Egyptians, and ancient Greeks. Depictions of bees abound on coins and jewelry from the ancient Greek Ionian city of Ephesus, located in present-day Turkey. Within the Temple of Artemis, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, the bee was the symbol of the goddess, said to represent fertility and healing through the properties of honey. And then you have hexagons that frame each episode, a strange shape because you would expect either a diamond, the shape traditionally associated with the Vision because of how his stone usually looks in the comics, or some variation on Wanda's headpiece. But instead, the transition involves a hexagon, a shape used in the construction of beehives, which could suggest that the entire village is a hive. After all, the neighbors all respond a couple times, either with the line, "for the children," or when they all chant, "what's in a box," like a hive mind. Also, side note, a lot of you probably recognize the phrase "what's in a box" as a line from the movie Seven, which I don't want to completely spoil, but the thing that's in the box is also related to pregnancy, kind of. And then the beekeeper himself. He appears at the end of episode 2, rising from a sewer surrounded by bees. The insignia on the back of the suit appears to be the sword symbol, a shield-like organization that usually deals with extraterrestrial threats, although that might change in the MCU. But that person in the beekeeper suit seems to be using the suit to protect themselves from the bees, which may suggest that they're part of the neighborhood, possibly guarding Westview from intruders under the direction of a certain nosy neighbor. After all, bees have been linked to all sorts of magical folklore. According to planetbee.org, quote, bees also tended to be associated with the underworld and with the souls of the dead. This was likely because wild hives are often located in cracks in rock walls or caves, which were imagined to be the entrances to the underworld. Various Greek philosophers believed that humans could be reincarnated as bees, or that the bees were the souls of those who had not yet been born. Sometimes nymphs were referred to as bees because they were believed to be reincarnated souls. And it's not just nymphs. Witches specifically were strongly connected with bees. Carrie Norman, in her blog for the Bee Conservation Trust, explains that, quote, bees have long been associated with witches and witchcraft. One Lincolnshire witch was said to have a bumblebee as her familiar animal. Another witch from Scotland allegedly poisoned a child in the form of a bee. And in Nova Scotia, a male witch was accused of killing a cow by sending a white bumblebee to land on it. Even certain, admittedly not great modern writers understand this connection. Dumbledore is an Old English word meaning bumblebee. Because Albus is very fond of music, J.K. always imagined him as sort of humming to himself. And if the bees are working for Agnes, that may answer some other questions. What caused the sword helicopter to crash? Maybe it was bees. And hey, maybe Agnes is the one making the noise outside. It does end up scaring Wanda and Vision into joining their beds, which ends with them under the covers, making some babies most likely. So, now, let's recklessly speculate. If all of this is true, what is Agnes going to do in future episodes? It's simple. She's going to babysit. And either brainwash or straight up steal the children. Maybe Agnes can't have her own, or maybe Wanda's are more powerful than anything Agnes could create. Either way, I'm expecting Agnes to be taking every opportunity to babysit the children. And who is Ralph? Agnes is frequently mentioned but never seen husband. What part does Ralph play in all this? Does he even exist? I'm not sure. A lot of people think that might be another name for the devil or Mephisto, but I'm not seeing any connection, at least just with the name Ralph. And how is Agnes doing all of this? What kind of magic? Is it the Wanda, wave your hand kind? Maybe. Or maybe she's using potions to brainwash everyone. She carries around a flask and is constantly drinking. Maybe that's how she keeps everyone docile. It wouldn't be dissimilar to another villainous wizard who is constantly sipping a potion in a flask. I don't know. And I'm looking forward to learning more, but I don't think all of this so far can be a coincidence. There's something here. Or maybe I'm reading way too far into this. Who knows? Oh, and I bet you're thinking, in the beginning of the video, you said something on the board was legitimately the thing that ties all of WandaVision together. Well, what is that? I'll show you. But first, we see in WandaVision that Vision can process numbers and make computations in the blink of an eye. He's the best worker at the company that makes computational forms. And sure, unlike Vision, you and I are carbon-based life forms. But if you want to brush up on your knowledge to impress the boss, or learn something new, or just keep your brain sharp, I would recommend this video's sponsor, Brilliant. Brilliant is science and math enrichment learning. On Brilliant, you take short, challenging quizzes on whatever topics you want. And it isn't only super technical things like geometry or programming, although those are both there. I, for example, took courses on logic and search engines. What I love about Brilliant is either you get the quiz right, in which case you feel awesome, or Brilliant walks you through the correct answer so you learn the way to solve the problems and learn the concepts. To support this channel and learn more about Brilliant, go to brilliant.org/NandoVMovies. That's NANDOVMOVIES, and sign up for free. And the first 200 people who go to that link will get 20% off their annual premium subscriptions. Go check them out. So, okay, what is the thing on this board that I think legitimately ties everything in WandaVision together? Well, it is The Wizard of Oz. You have a Dorothy in the form of Wanda, a man without a brain or mind, Vision, a machine symbolized by a heart, your Tin Man in the form of Mr. Heart, maybe, a cowardly neighbor in the form of Geraldine, a wicked witch, most likely Agnes, her flying minions, the bees, and potentially some good witch, maybe Doctor Strange or maybe someone else entirely. Both WandaVision and The Wizard of Oz have moments when black and white transitions to color, symbolizing a new world. They also deal with themes of finding your true home. In Dorothy's case, she needs to accept that Kansas is her home, and in Wanda's, perhaps, she has to accept the reality that the Vision is dead and move on. We also get a look at Wanda using magic to try to make the stork disappear, and instead of visualizing the usual way, it appears as red smoke. Now, we've never seen that in the Marvel Cinematic Universe before, and the only other time I can ever think of something like that being referenced is in The Wizard of Oz. That's what the Wicked Witch uses when she disappears. Also, Agnes rides a bicycle. And in The Wizard of Oz, the Wicked Witch appears as a bicycle rider in the tornado before she transforms into the witch and does her trademark laugh. And then, and this one's really blink and you miss it, in the titles for episode 3, we see Vision ride through the town and he passes a marquee that says, "The Great and Powerful," which is what people call the wizard in The Wizard of Oz. And those trees that woke up Wanda and Vision in the beginning of episode 2, The Wizard of Oz also features villainous sentient trees. Oh, and this one's really interesting. In the original version of The Wizard of Oz, there was a dance number called The Jitterbug. It was completely staged, rehearsed, and it comes right before the Wicked Witch of the West captures the heroes. You may even notice there's a line in the original movie where the Wicked Witch of the West tells one of the flying monkeys that the insects will weaken the heroes. But we never see those insects. Apparently, it's from this scene. A group of jitterbugs fly over to Dorothy, the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and the Lion, and the jitterbugs make our heroes dance, which tires them out. This scene was cut for 2 reasons. First, the movie was long and they needed to shorten the runtime. And second, the scene was originally conceived in 1938. The movie was released in 1939. And between 1938 and 1939, the dance craze, the jitterbug, caught on, completely unrelated to the movie. And the studio executives feared that the fact that the dance craze existed would date the movie, even though they have nothing to do with each other. So it was cut. But the Wicked Witch of the West, in the original cut of The Wizard of Oz, employs an army of flying insects. And both Wizard of Oz and WandaVision are about a girl who creates a fantasy world as a way to deal with a traumatic experience that is very Wizard of Oz. In fact, Episode 4 even gave me one new card that I want to add to the board. If you'll excuse me. Almost finished. I believe WOO stands for Wizard of Oz. Whoa. He's the one that speaks through the microphone. He's the one that does the magic trick that isn't actually magic. But what does this mean? How will Jimmy, being the Wizard of Oz, factor into the larger story? I don't know. But it's a neat theory. As always, I have to give a humongous thank you to everyone who continues to support the channel on Patreon. You guys are the best. If you want to see your name up here, get access to videos early, other cool stuff, throw in any amount of money at patreon.com/NandoViewMovies. You have no idea how much it helps me, how much it helps the channel. Also, listen to the podcast for Mostly Nitpicking, where every week me and my co-hosts DJ and Diggins pick apart a piece of pop culture by looking exclusively at the details. It's a lot of fun. We do talk about WandaVision during the episodes, although we put it in like its own little spot so it doesn't get spoiled for you. Follow me on Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I am NandoViewMovies on all of those platforms. That's all I got. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time.